Awesome. All right, folks. Well, welcome. We're going to get things started here. My name is Sam Yearley. I'm a solution engineer here at Front, and welcome to Frontrunners. We're super excited to have you. Today, we're going to be focusing on three new Front features to boost omnichannel support quality. First, a couple quick housekeeping notes for you. Welcome to Frontrunners. Frontrunners is a webinar focused on best-in-class ways of using Front, where we like to highlight brand new features as well as powered up workflows that some of the best folks using Front to the best of its ability are leveraging today. For our session today, please leverage the Q&A feature at the bottom of the screen to submit any questions. We'll be trying to answer those live as we go throughout the presentation today. I've got some friends on the line who are going to be helping me out in the Q&A poll there. Please don't use the chat for questions. We want to be sure to capture all of them, and we're going to be looking at the Q&A, so send your questions there. Secondly, you'll receive a follow-up email within 24 hours of today with some resources. So if you're a note taker, feel free to go ahead and take those notes, but also feel free to just sit back and absorb the content. We'll be sending a recap email tomorrow. And then last but not least, here up front, we have an amazing product education team, and they host office hours at a regular cadence. So feel free if you have questions or if you have more specific questions to your particular workflow in Front, feel free to join those office hours. We'll also be providing a link to those in that follow-up email as well. I know there's some new folks on the line today. We've got a good mix of folks who are familiar with Front as well as people who are brand new. So welcome to you. Quick overview of Front. Front is the modern customer service platform for seamless support at scale. We've been around for a little over 10 years now, and we have had the pleasure of helping over 9,000 customers provide quality support to their customers at scale. We partner with folks across industries as well as across company sizes to, again, enable them to deliver that outstanding support to their customers at scale. Today, let's jump into some of those workflows. We are really focused on omnichannel here at Front. That's the focus of our webinar this morning. And you might be thinking, why does omnichannel matter? That just sounds like another tech jargon buzzword. Omnichannel really matters because it's all about bringing all of your channels of communication and all of your work into one pane of glass. Front really believes omnichannel is important, and we've taken a twofold approach to this internally. For some of those channels where deep integration is required, we've worked really hard to reimagine and build those bridges to voice channels like telephony, like we'll jump into our Dialpad integration today. But also for channels where we think a native experience is really important, we've doubled down and invested heavily in providing those channels natively to Front. Front Chat is an example of one of those channels as well. And when all of those channels come into one pane of glass, what that means for your agents, your business, as well as your customers is nothing slips through the cracks. Customer service agents don't have to toggle back and forth between screens, and you're allowed to meet customers on the channel of their choosing. When we bring everything into one pane of glass, we also get to unify that information across channel. So we get cross-channel history visible right in your inbox. We can bring in information about who you're talking to and what you're talking about from those third-party systems seamlessly into Front to expedite those workflows as well. And lastly, when we bring everything into one place, we can resolve inquiries faster with AI. We can learn from all of those conversations that you're bringing into Front, as well as your other knowledge sources that you'll bring in there to help you deliver that outstanding customer service at scale. So breaking things down a little bit more today, we're going to be focused on three key pillars of this omnichannel strategy that Front can help you enable. The first thing we'll spend some time talking about is our Dialpad integration, completely reimagined to help you live and breathe in Front with those voice channels, just like you do with your text-based channels already. We'll also talk about some enhancements that we're bringing to Front Chat to better help you meet your customers where they are and understand how they're engaging with you in that channel. And then last but not least, we teased this at our last Frontrunners webinar, say that 5 times fast, but Smart QA is here. We'll talk about how you can run an automated QA process to continue to level up your organization across all of your customer inquiries. So what's new with Dialpad? We've completely reimagined our integration with Dialpad so that you can unify all of your workflows and channels inside of Front. Voice remains an essential channel for customer support. People love being able to just pick up the phone and give you a call. But voice today is still clunky. Agents oftentimes have to switch back and forth between different systems, and that leads to a fragmented experience for agents as well as customers who call in and have to be bounced around a couple different times because there's no clear context as to who they are and maybe what they're calling about. So with this reimagined Dialpad integration, we've done a lot of work to unify SMS and voice into Front so that your agents can work those SMS and voice channels just like they would any other channel in Front. We partner with Dialpad to bring AI-generated summaries and transcripts into Front as well, so that you can collaborate with your teammates by commenting on transcripts, voicemails, continuing to work cross-functionally in Front like you're used to with other channels like email. So to bring this to life a little bit, I want to introduce you to our motivating example, Pedal Pro. Pedal Pro is a fictitious company, and they sought an omnichannel solution for serving customers effectively. They recently moved into Front to unify all their channels in one platform and pursue scale, but they also value quality and high-touch service as key differentiators for their org. So it's important to note here that they don't have to sacrifice that quality as they continue to scale because they're bringing all that onto Front. We're going to meet a couple characters along the way this morning. We're going to meet Doug, Sam, and Jess. Doug's a Pedal Pro customer. He'll play the role of calling in to Sam, our customer service representative at Pedal Pro. And we'll hang out with Jess later as we talk about how we can drive improvements to our chat channels and our QA processes internally. We'll jump into Dialpad in just a second, but a quick overview of where we're going to go. Doug's a customer of Pedal Pro. He's been doing his research, but he has a couple quick questions. So he wanted to pick up the phone and give Sam a call. Sam's able to leverage the Dialpad integration to seamlessly pick up this call, have a conversation, collaborate with teammates, also catch up on anything that he might have missed. Post-purchase, Sam can also follow up with Doug via SMS. So let's get into things. I'll take on the role of Sam, and let's jump into Front. Welcome to Front. If you're new, I'll give you a quick tour. If you're a friend of Front, just hang tight. We'll get into Dialpad in a second. Front brings all of your channels and communication into one pane of glass here. On the left-hand side, we've got our nav bar, right? As an agent, I'm only concerned with my assigned to me, my personal section, where I can manage tickets that are assigned to me, shared with me, as well as my personal inbox and things that I'm taking care of. Down in our team shared section, we can create inboxes depending on channel or depending on how you like to stay organized. We think of inboxes as really just containers for conversations or tickets to help you organize and get work done. You can see here, we've got our support tiers, and we've also got a couple Dialpad channels that we can bring in here as well. Again, building on that omni-channel vision that Front has to unify all of your customer communications in one place. We can see here that I've got a couple voicemails. We'll get to those in a second. But if I'm playing the role of Sam here, the service agent, Doug is going to call in here and give me a call. I can see right off the bat that I'm getting a new call from Dialpad directly in Front. This new conversation was created, and I can pick up this call directly inside of Front without having to leave the platform. When I pick up the call that's been routed to me, it's automatically assigned to me as well. Other teammates can see this call. We can have visibility in the same way that you can around emails, but I can have a quick conversation with Doug, right? He's calling in about buying a new bike. He's interested in, some protective gear due to a knee injury. He has a couple questions, and let's say that Doug doesn't make a decision today, but he's grateful for the chat. I can go ahead and end this call inside of Front. And once that call has been concluded, again, we're going to start to bring over summary and transcript data seamlessly from Dialpad to cover that call that I had with Doug there as well. So you're seeing that build here live. To bring a little bit more color to that, here's a similar conversation I had with Pierre earlier today. They were looking at a specific bike model. Same conversation back and forth that I just had with Doug. And we can see here that Dialpad has brought over that summary. What's great with this is, after this call, we have a really hot lead. Doug is really close to buying a bike, same with Pierre, and there's actually an opportunity to upsell or cross-sell here with some protective equipment. And this is where I can collaborate inside of Front, just like I'm used to with all those other channels. I can mention a teammate to work with Jamie, our product specialist, to follow up with Pierre or Doug on the gear recommendations that they requested. If they don't have access to that conversation, I can share it with them. And then they're added as a participant on this conversation in Front, just like any other channel inside of Front. We can continue to work on bringing Pierre the information he needs and Doug the information that he needs to make a decision on this purchase. What's great is even if I'm talking with folks live and someone else calls in, maybe I miss a call and someone leaves me a voicemail. Let's jump forward in time a little bit. Maybe let's say Doug called back in and he's ready to pull the trigger on that bike. Super exciting. I can read the transcript of this voicemail. I can also play it directly inside of Front. And I can see here that Doug's actually interested in our financing program. What's great is because I don't have to swivel back and forth between different systems, I can fully use the power of Front to look up more information about Doug's question and prep for this call. So I asked our knowledge base here, can you tell me a little bit more about our financing program? I can get a quick summary and also a link to our internal knowledge article about how this program works. Armed with this information, as a customer service agent, I can easily give Doug a call back directly from Front. We can support that outbound call, and with a click, I can place that call directly to Doug inside of Front. I can pick up on that call. And Doug and I can continue to have that conversation as we work towards converting him into a customer at Pedal Pro. So we just covered a lot. Doug has a new bike. And then again, to follow up on that high touch customer journey, I can also jump in and give Doug a quick text. I can say, hey, congrats on the new bike. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out. I can send that message out to Doug to continue to build our relationship with him as we go. We also have some error handling built into our Dialpad integration. So if for some reason message fails to deliver, you'll also be notified of that as well. So just like that, Doug bought a new bike. We have a rich integration with Dialpad to help you meet your customers where they are. And again, unify all of that information inside of your inbox in Front. We were able to work cross-functionally with Jamie and Ollie to provide that upsell opportunity. And we've been able to see how we can bring over that voicemail, that transcript, that AI-generated summary data from Dialpad as well. So you can live and breathe in Front across all of your communication channels, including voice. And that's just the start. We've got an action-packed year coming up. Dialpad is just the start of that. Expect AirCall later this year, as well as more voice partners to that end as well. Awesome. Moving on to Front Chat enhancements. We've done a lot of work to continue to, again, build out your omnichannel capabilities on Front. And to that end, we're excited to announce improvements in chat as well. Chat remains a preferred and efficient way to serve your customers. For customers that want a quick engagement, have a quick question, or want a lower stakes, lower synchronous, maybe still synchronous, but who don't want to pick up the phone, right? We want to provide service to everybody across their preferred channels of communication. So to that end, we're excited to announce we have new mobile SDKs for both iOS and Android, allowing you to embed Front Chat more natively in your mobile experience for your customers. We've also launched chat threads. We give logged in users the ability to see a chat history for past chats that they've had with you. So if they need to reference something in the past, they don't need to dig through their email transcript. They can go exactly back to where they initially reached out, and they can see information about their last conversations with you. I'm really excited to also talk about path analytics and connectors in chat. Path analytics gives you the ability to take a look at your chat flow and understand how are people interacting with you in that chat setting. We'll dig deeper into that from our service manager, service ops persona. And then finally, we have brought the power of connectors to chat. And I'm really excited about this. If you know what connectors are, maybe you're excited too. If you're like, well, what the heck is a connector? We'll get there. Connectors in Front allow you to push and pull information from third-party systems via API. So by bringing that information into chat, we give you control to structure the experience to help customers better self-serve and get information that they need access to. So just a quick look at what that multiple threads looks like, because we're not covering it in the demo today. This is exactly what it looks like, right? Once you finish a conversation, we can save that chat history. This also allows for cleaner topic to resolution ties in that chat channel. Moving back to our friends over at Pedal Pro, Doug, the proud owner of a new mountain bike, is going to reach out for a status update on the order of his bike. Jess, who's our service manager, is going to leverage Path Analytics to better understand Doug's experience as a customer and also improve his ability to self-serve with connectors in chat. So let's jump back into things and take a look at how this is all possible. If I put my Doug hat on, I'm stoked for the new mountain bike. I'm back on Pedal Pro's website and I can engage with their chat experience here. I have a biking trip coming up this weekend and I'm really excited to use my new bike on it, and I want to know the status of my order. Front chat is configurable, but Pedal Pro today only has a couple of options for us. And so I think the best option for me is going to be to talk to a pro to ask about the status of my order. So I'll go ahead and talk to a pro. And this is going to launch me into a chat conversation with someone on the Pedal Pro team like Sam. Can go ahead and enter in, can I get a status update on my order? And again, within the power of Front, that will be routed to an agent internally, and they could then go back and forth with Doug on where his order is, asking for that order ID, looking that up in another system, and then getting back to Doug with that information. Not a terrible experience, but maybe not the most smooth or expedient experience for Doug, and maybe not the best use of time for Sam. Right, for certain inquiries that are simple and just involve looking up information and returning it back, this is a great use for us to use connectors. And we can also better optimize the flow of chats for self-service versus what needs to be addressed by an agent internally. If I'm switching personas here into Jess's role, I'd imagine Jess has a similar hunch. She's tired of seeing all of these order status updates flow into Front. And so she can leverage Path Analytics to drill a little bit deeper into understanding what's going on here in Front. So jumping in and taking a look at our chatbot, this is the admin view of chat inside of Front. So it's important to note that only admins, service operations, service managers, people who are responsible for this would be taking a look at this. This isn't something that your frontline users would see. Right off the bat, it's really easy to use. The UI is simple and intuitive, but also complex enough to handle powerful workflows. We can see these three options, and that, Sam just went directly to talk to a live agent. We love that high touch support, but Doug maybe wanted something even snappier in terms of a resolution. What's new is we can actually drill into these path analytics inside of Front as well. If I jump in here as Jess, I can see the number of conversations that have been initiated on the most recent version of this chatbot. And what's great here is at each of our nodes, we can understand things like deflection rate, drop off, if we've been connected to a live agent or moved to email. So overwhelmingly right off the bat, we can see that the majority of our customers are talking to a pro right away. And this makes sense, right? Jess, maybe as a service manager, has heard anecdotally from people on our team like Sam that they're just fielding all of these inbound requests about order updates, and they don't have enough time to focus on the complex or value additive work, like answering those phone calls, providing expert recommendation to riders depending on what they're looking to do. We can use Path Analytics to drill even deeper into this how can we help node to understand what are people talking about and what percentage of people are dropping out of our experience here. Just as a service manager can see here that an overwhelming number of these inquiries are about order statuses. We've got a couple key inquiries, related to more specific questions that we'd want to route to our pro team, but a lot of these are simple inquiries related to order data. Path Analytics brings that to light. And then what's great is with the power of connectors, Jess can actually launch a new branch in this chat to help people better self-serve and get access to that information on their own. So if we jump into our version 2 of this Pedal Pro chat, I mocked this up, saved you some time here this morning. We can see we've added a new node here for order status, right? It's super easy to click in here and add an additional option, add an additional branch. In that new order status node, we're going to say, happy to help you track down your order. And then in front chat, we can also collect inputs from our customers or from whoever is chatting with you. So we can define a question, collect an input and give it a name, and specify a data type. From here, we can leverage Front's connectors framework to send an application request or an API call to a third-party system with REST endpoints to pull down that information that you need to make available to whoever is chatting with you. And so in this case, we're just sending a simple GET request to our order management system. We're passing along the order ID, and then we can map outputs accordingly. In this case, we're just grabbing that status of the order and bringing it back. We don't need to provide additional information to folks like Doug. We just need to access that status. We can branch on whether or not the request is successful or failed to, again, make sure that we're ensuring a high quality experience for folks like Doug. Then we can also perform additional operations and understand, hey, if that status is in transit, we want to reply with, hey, your order's on their way. Congratulations. And then we can continue on the flow if they have more questions. Similarly, in this case, if our status is delayed, Jess wants to respond with empathy, say we're sorry for the inconvenience, and then maybe keep things open in case we need to escalate to a person to talk about expedited delivery or see if we can sweeten the deal with the discount to make up for how we maybe dropped the ball. So just like that, with clicks, not code, it's easy for Jess to launch a new and improved experience for folks like Doug. And so now let's jump in as Doug and let's take a look at the V2 version of this chat experience. We're back on the Pedal Pro website. Doug launches back into that chat experience. And we can see we have a new option here for order status. We can see once Doug clicks in there, we get that friendly bot that says, hey, happy to help you track down your order. Can you give me that order ID? Let's type in our order ID. We can enter that in. In the background, Front's going to use connectors in chat to look up that information in our order management system. We can see that our order is in transit. Congratulations. Do you have any other questions? If I'm playing the role of Doug, nope, I'm all set. I'm excited. It's on time. We're going to get that bike ready for that trip. Conversely, right, in an alternate universe where Doug's bike has been delayed, if we enter in that order status again, we maybe pass in a different order, we can see here that, we'll look up in that order management system the status of that order, and we can reply with the right response and the right empathy to ensure, that Doug gets the info that he needs and can get connected to a person if he needs additional help. But that is not all. That's exciting stuff. We've also been hard at work to continue to help you meet customers on the channel of their choice, and to make chat an even more compelling experience. Let's take a look maybe at if Doug was browsing gear. We'll jump on to this other bike page. He's browsing around. He's maybe looking at his next bike purchase. He's hooked on the sport. He's hooked on the hobby. And we're excited to announce a preview of proactive messaging within Front. We can now help you, closed beta, but we can help you send messages to engage with your customers, with your visitors, in a way that can help them engage in your chat channel more effectively. So we can pop open this call to action here, customize these buttons, and maybe jump people like Doug directly into a conversation with a pro. And help them, nurture that lead, curate that experience, and more. So proactive messaging, it's early, it's in a closed beta, but I'm excited to announce that we're working on that to, again, continue to help you meet customers in the channel of their choice, and deliver rich and compelling chat experiences as well. Awesome. So just recapping, excited to bring those SDKs to you to help accelerate, that mobile experience of chat. Chat threads help folks stay organized in, their chat histories. They can track all of those inquiries that they've had with you. And then, path analytics and connectors are really powerful to help you understand, the experience that you're providing for your customers, as well as giving them access to data to help them resolve some simple inquiries there. So moving on down the line, the third pillar of omnichannel that we're focusing on this morning is Smart QA. I'm really excited to talk about this one. We previewed it during the last Frontrunners, and it's here. Um, Smart QA is important because old ways of, measuring quality just haven't caught up with the modern service org. Having to have service managers manually review tickets here and there, cherry picking certain ones, it's just not an efficient use of time, leads to incomplete review processes, and also a delayed feedback loop for the agents in your organization. And so with Smart QA, we're providing you with an automated, always on approach to measuring quality in your org that'll help you give more time back to your service leaders so they can focus on the weird outliers, right? As well as having those up-leveling and coaching conversations with members of their team. With Smart QA, you're able to launch an automated QA process out of the box. We give you a library of criteria to make it easy for you to stand up this process, as well as configure what your specific scorecard looks like for your organization. And again, what this is going to give you is an always on approach to generating service quality insights and a complete, more robust scoring of your agent's performance across all conversations, not just that one conversation you happen to cherry pick that comes from a Friday afternoon when someone's had a long, hard day. So let's jump into it again from the perspective of our Pedal Pro team. We're going to take a look from the perspective of Jess, our service manager, setting up this scorecard, how it's easy for her to launch a QA program, how Sam now has a clear line of sight to how he's getting evaluated. What's the rubric? What's the feedback? How can he action on that for the next ticket, the next conversation that he has? And then lastly, how Jess can leverage front analytics to not only view conversations at a micro level, but roll things up across her service team and understand how the team is performing and where there might be areas for improvement. So jumping in here to Jess's world, we're back in the admin panel of Front, and in our company preferences, we can now navigate into our Smart QA scorecard. I've already started a scorecard for us, but again, we give you a starting place if you want to start from scratch or start with a couple metrics. We can add to this library of metrics we can add criteria from our library of metrics here. We'll give you a number of out-of-the-box criteria that you can use as your Smart QA scorecard. And so, for example, maybe Jess wants to add in tone as a criteria to be judged for. Certain criteria will give you additional options for configuration as well. So what type of tone do we want to be scoring our agents on? Is it more of a general? Are they displaying an adaptive nature? Let's work together. Are they positive and upbeat? Right? We give you the ability to not only pick from this library of criteria, but also further personalize that to your service organization. So I can save that information. We can see our scorecard preview building on the right-hand side of the screen here as well. And once I add enough criteria, or once Jess adds that criteria to the scorecard, the next step in the process is just launching a rule to help govern when the scorecard should be applied. So in our rules and macros section here, again, we've got a couple pre-built ones for us. We give you that library of rules to work from. And in this case, we're going to jump here to report, and we're going to create a Smart QA rule. We'll give the rule a quick name. And we can see that this rule is triggered when a ticket status is changed to resolved or archived. Currently, Smart QA is operating on email type messages only, but we have more plans to roll that out to other channels later in the year. You'll specify, just like other rules, what inboxes you want this rule to apply on. And then you also get to specify the time since the trigger. And this one's important, right? If you have complex inquiries, especially where there's investigation, technical troubleshooting, back and forth, and we want to make sure that this conversation, this ticket is truly closed before we go ahead and run a QA process. So you can specify the time since that trigger, as well as whether you want to factor in business hours or not, as well as other conditions or criteria, right? Maybe your organization is using required tagging. So maybe you only want to review certain conversations with that tag. We give you that full list of criteria that you're used to leveraging inside of Front to help customize and configure when you want that QA process to be evaluated. And just like that, we can go ahead and create our rule. Let's jump into the shoes of Sam, a customer support agent, to take a look at a recent conversation that he had and how he can see his own scorecard within Smart QA. Jumping in here to another example, I can see here this recent conversation with Pierre. We can see there's some collaboration back and forth. Then there's this nice built out response. Within Front, as an end user, I can jump into the Smart QA plugin and I can see the score that was given to me by Smart QA, as well as feedback on each point of our scorecard's criteria that's been added by service managers like Jess. So I can go ahead and take a look at, for example, tone. My tone was neutral and professional, but maybe could have been more positive and reassuring. And so in the past, I would have maybe monthly or quarterly reviews with my manager to take a look at how I'm performing as an agent. And that feedback loop would be long and intermittent. But now I have real-time insights as an agent into what good looks like and how I can craft a compelling and positive response to deliver excellent service to our customers. As a manager, putting my Jess hat on here, we can jump into another conversation and take a look at how, again, at a micro level, we can take a look at each individual conversation. And if, for example, I want to override or edit, or I think maybe AI is being too harsh here, I can jump in here and maybe bump up some tone and add some additional notes here for Brandon. And I can save this, mark this as reviewed. And so when Brandon comes in and takes a look at this conversation, he can also see that I have reviewed this and I've either accepted or agreed with the AI scoring there. And we've done a lot of work to, again, make sure that this review process is fair and measures to the values that your organization puts on that scorecard as well. If I'm putting my manager hat on as well, I can leverage Front Analytics to view more information about these reviews across my organization. So just like Front Analytics that you're used to, we can roll all of this conversational driven data up into this macro view. We can slice and dice it in the same ways that you're used to. And for example, if I want to take a look at maybe some of Peter's conversations, I can drill into one of these metrics like comprehension, and I can take a look at these scorecards in this macro view as well. I can understand, what's going well, what's not going so well. And then if I even need to override things as well, we can update that score when we drive those overrides too. So lots of possibilities there, but just wrapping things up. Front QA gives you an out-of-the-box way to stand up QA processes to understand, one, how is your service organization performing with respect to answering customer inquiries? Two, show your agents what good looks like. And then three, give you more insights into where your team can improve as well. That's a lot of yapping that I just did, but there's a lot of exciting things that we're working on here at Front. And again, we really believe that omnichannel is an important part of a winning customer support strategy. Being able to deliver quality service on your customer's channel of choice, meeting them where they are, is paramount to maintaining service excellence and fostering and growing those relationships you have with your customers. With that, I know my friends in the Q&A queue have been answering questions as we've been going, but would love to pause here and answer any additional questions if folks have them. We've got a question here. It says the text message was sent from Dialpad or Front SMS channel. The text message that we sent back earlier in the webinar was from a Dialpad SMS channel. Front also supports other ways to send SMS through the platform as well. Another question here, just started a Smart QA trial. Is there more product training I can send my team on it? Absolutely, great question. In the follow-up email, we'll also send a link to a Front Academy course on Smart QA as well. So there are more learning resources, and we also have a pretty robust help article for you, if you want to review that as well. Well, thank you everybody so much for joining us today. Again, you don't have to stop your learning journey here. You can keep the learning journey going. We'll be following up with that email recap within 24 hours. Again, our product education team is amazing here up front. So you can visit our office hours at that link. We do have that Smart QA Front Academy course here as well. So feel free to go ahead and leverage that there too. Um, if there are more questions, you can feel it looks like we got one more. Um, will you be building an integration like this for AirCall? Absolutely. AirCall is on our roadmap for later this year. And again, following that blueprint that our teams put a lot of work into with Dialpad, AirCall is going to look a lot like that as well. Thank you for the kind notes in the chat. Again, we'll recap with all of these resources. Um, and yeah, if there's any other questions, happy to answer those. But if not, have a great Wednesday. We're halfway through the week. You got this. And if you have more questions, feel free to reach out and we'll work to address those offline too. Thank you so much for joining and have a good day.